Unity, oneness of minds, feelings as among a number of persons, harmony, concord, and agreements. Hello, I'm Ernest Lowery. Welcome to the podcast Unity, a place where you can come together and understand what's happening in your community. What does the community want? They want great schools, they want to be self-sustaining, and they want to take crime out the neighborhoods. Come join us at Podcast Unity.
Hello, welcome to a new episode of Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest Lowery. Today, I have with me a very interesting guest all the way from Chesapeake. His name is Leslie Smith, and he's with Ground Zero Development. So, Mr. Les, how are you doing today?
Just great, Ernest. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you on. We've been doing a lot of things over the years together. So, but right now, let's talk about what you're doing with your organization. I understand you've been doing this now for about 10 years. Is that correct?
Since 2014.
Okay,
Yes.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your program.
Yes, we have a mentoring program where we mentor in group format with young men ages 12 through 19. And we can have anywhere from 2 kids up to 20 to 30 kids. And that's, like I say, once again, in a group setting. So sometimes we're doing it live, but since we had been dealing with COVID, we actually been meeting virtually.
Right. So, so how did this idea come about? Now, I know that prior to starting this program, you were an officer at you were a sheriff, correct?
Yes.
So, but tell me how this came about. Your organization.
Well, I came up with the idea. Well, when I was growing up, I was mentored. But then when I worked for the sheriff's department, I saw coming through our facility a lot of people that didn't have that background of mentoring or men in their lives.
Right.
So to keep them from coming to jail too, I said, well, let's try to change the scheme of things to where we got this revolving door of people coming through the system that don't have to. So with this mentoring program in place, we're trying to help prevent some of that from happening. Less crime, more kids getting their education and going on to be productive citizens.
Right. Because one of the things that we're trying to do with this program, Unity, this podcast, is to talk about our youth and the things that they're going through. At the moment, of course, we're dealing with a lot of adults such as yourself who have successful programs that come and talk about how they got started and their passion for helping youth. So you touched on the fact that you were a sheriff and that you were mentored, and I'm assuming that a majority of the people that you may have seen inside your jail system were young adults.
Yes, they were young adults. Most of them was over 18.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so you came up with the idea of helping these students or kids. So what do you do with your program?
So with our program, we meet twice a month. With the sessions last anywhere from 60 minutes to 90 minutes. And we just have dialogue. We may have a topic that we're going to use, but we pretty much interact with one another. Now, I've been in programs before where there's individual mentoring, but the program, how we operate is group mentoring. So it's not one-to-one, but there's so many advantages, Ernest, from doing it in group mentoring from the standpoint of the exchange of ideas. And when I'm sharing something with one kid, not only does that one kid hear it, but all the kids in the room hear it.
Right.
And likewise, what these kids are sharing amongst the group, everyone gets to benefit from it, good or bad. So to me, that's ideal as opposed to one-to-one mentoring.
Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing is that these young adults are getting mentored and they become friends as they gather today and look forward to coming 2 sessions at a time per month.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. So what are some of the things that you do with the kids? Now, I've been to 1 or 2 of your programs, but tell me a little more specifically, what do you do?
Okay, so outside of the mentoring sessions, which is the bulk of what we do, because they get so much from that, we do extracurricular activities. We may have a pizza night. Graduation, after they do 12 sessions, we have a get-together where there's food, refreshments, and a cake to celebrate those that have graduated, and they also get a certificate and a gift card. But outside of that, we go places like we go to the bowling alley. Actually this past summer we went fishing. So that was a great experience for the young men. And we've gone to football games, we've gone to basketball games, both high school and college. So those are some of the things we have done for the kids. But there's 2 programs that we put on every year, and then we've done that since 2015 or 16. I think it's 16. So we've done it for the last 5 or 6 years. And when we put that program on, one is the youth conference. The first year we done it, it was just for boys, and it was shared to us, well, what about the girls? Well, I said, well, we got a boys program.
Yes.
So after that first year, it was for both boys and girls, ages 12 through 19. And that has gone on well. We've only had 1 year that we missed because of COVID, and then the second year, because of COVID, we did it virtually. The other program, the anchor program that we do every year, is what we call our Team Up Communities and Law Enforcement. And when we have that event put on, that's when the community comes together and interact with law enforcement.
Right.
So it's mainly the kids, but we have some adults there as well. So they play cornhole toss, volleyball, basketball, shoot. We even have football toss and tug of war. But that's also incorporated with the cookout, and it gives the kids a chance to warm up to law enforcement, and it also gives law enforcement a chance to interact with the community, and then they feel a little bit more at ease,
Right.
and have more of a human aspect to their duties.
Okay, so how do you find the kids? You're talking about law enforcement. Do you guys put out a most wanted poster or something? I mean, what do you do? How do you receive the kids?
It's word of mouth. A lot of times we try to go through the school systems to make them aware. We have our own website, groundzerodevelopment.info. Groundzerodevelopment.info is our website. We're all on Facebook as well. But most of it's word of mouth. We try to also go through the churches to a certain extent. But we need all the exposure we can get because the resources are there, but the parents don't come to get the resources like they should. Now, I can tell you one fault that we've experienced a lot is that the kids look for sporting events, and we're not a sporting event type of organization. That's extracurricular for us. The main thing we're doing is teaching kids life skills and how to be productive citizens. So that doesn't necessarily mean playing sports.
Right. So you're more or less learning how to tie a tie, things of this nature.
Correct.
And you talk about other extra activities, fishing. So how do the parents feel about their child, and do they see a difference in what their child do and how they perform at home and maybe in school?
Okay. That's a good question. In reference to our program, I've never heard anyone speak badly on kids attending our program. Now, they may have attended for a session and stopped, but they got what they needed from the program. Because I've seen kids come and their mindset has changed to a certain degree to where now they're more productive. They show more respect because we're teaching them to be respectful.
Right.
They're getting their studies done, which is important, and they're staying out of trouble. Now, I've also had one parent or several parents, as a matter of fact, several parents have seen their kids open up more because it kind of forces you to talk when you're not a talker because you're called upon to talk. And then you also see in a group setting other people engaging in conversation. So at some point in time, it opens you up and it builds you up to be able to talk as well.
Right. So I hear you also saying that you use the word parents. So the kids that's in your program, they not only come from a single parent environment, but also when both parents are home.
Yes, it's kind of ironic that you mentioned that. So we're speaking truths here, right?
Yes.
So with that being said, a lot of the kids that are in our program comes from a two-parent home.
Interesting.
As opposed to a single-parent home, which we need more single parents in our program. But the two parents families send their kids there, not necessarily because they're bad, but because they know they need the exposure of more than what they're offering them themselves. So when we can get these single parents to see the same light and say, this is not a sports program, but this is to grow you mentally, and send their kids to our program, they would benefit from it as well.
Okay, so the attitudes of the kids, and I don't want to put anybody on blast, but behavior-wise, what is the biggest challenge that you see in the kids?
We have a few kids that come that's a little rough around the edges, but the thing is, it's influence. One, you got mentors there. Most of the time when we mentor, it's at least 2 mentors there. So we keep control of things, over things. But then also, when you act out, you're not going to act out when everyone else around you is not acting out. You feel out of place. So we don't get a lot of that. And people change their way of thinking when they're exposed to their surroundings. So if you got a negative surrounding, then you can act negative. But when your surrounding is positive, you have no choice but to conform and change your way of thinking and acting and start acting like the rest. And that's why I love the group
Right.
settings.
So mentoring, does that also mean that you bring other people from the outside to come in and speak with the kids or show them different things? Is this just from an oral standpoint, or do you show videos or things of that nature?
I've shown videos, stuff from YouTube, little small lesson plans that other people, motivational speakers or what have you. But then also we have people come in with different fields, from different fields. We had a pilot come in to speak before. We had a baseball coach from North State come in to speak before. So various different people come in and speak, whether it's in our regular mentoring session or when we have our youth conference. We've had the police chief come to speak at the youth conference. We've had a judge come speak at the youth conference. We had a city councilman who was at that time a professional football player come to speak. So we have a multitude. A TV cast person came and spoke. So they get to see people of stature, people that are professional speaking. So it kind of lifts them up to say, hey, if they can do it, possibly I can do it too. Yes.
Okay, so when you talk with the kids, whether it be one-on-one or group sessions, do you happen to ask what their aspirations are, what they want to be, or who influences them, anything like that?
We have those conversations quite a bit, and they share their dreams. The lowest point that I've been asking that question, and I heard a response from a young man that it kind of puzzled me, but I understood that he just hadn't been exposed to a lot. So one young man said to me that we was asking along the question of what they wanted to do in life and when they get older and were able to work. Excuse me. And this young man said to me that he wanted to be a stock clerk in the store. And I'm not saying that's the bad job, but I was expecting him to speak on something higher, you know. But I just felt like he just hadn't been groomed enough as far as being shared with or talked about the ability to dream and having aspirations higher. And that's what we want to do, is set the tone for guys to think higher and dream. A lot of kids in communities no longer dream because they don't think they can get any further than where they are.
Okay.
Yes.
I may be a little confused on this question here, but in the beginning, you did say that you help young ladies involved with your program as well. Is this co-mingled or? No,
that was done purposely. Now, when we have those two major events, it's for boys and girls. But we felt like the program needs to be for boys only because there will be a distraction. So we wanted boys to be able to speak freely, and we wanted to be able to speak freely to them. So we have both genders there. I don't think we'll accomplish much like they do in classrooms. So that's why we have it just strictly for boys.
Okay. Is there any room for the parents to have the opportunity to come in and see what you guys are doing firsthand? Or is it something that they just engage with the parents, or they share what happened with them what they learned?
Okay. We have 2 sessions set up to where both the parents can be there with the kids, because it's set up that way. Because one is for the parents to know what to expect from the program and what we're expecting from them with their kids being involved in the program. And then we've also had to where parents may set in a session or two to see how the kid reacts and to see what we're sharing with them.
Mm-hmm.
And after one or two sessions, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they let the kids stay there by themselves. And the other reason why they let the kids stay there by themselves is because they want the kid to be able to speak freely. And they're not going to speak freely in front of their parents for the most part. So they normally leave after one or two sessions.
Okay, very interesting. Final question then. Maybe it's a bad question, but what do you think about the parents and the child? You have them there together. Do you see any relationship to why that child may be feeling, I don't want to say lonely, but out of place or withdrawn because of?
It just depends on the relationship that the parent and the student have or the child has. And it varies.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are close, some of them are not so close, some of them are in positions to where they're disrespectful to their parents to a certain extent. So they're looking for answers. And we try to provide that for them. And like I said, for those that have attended our classes, if the parent stays on them to say, hey, you're going to stay in the program, those kids that do stay in the program, they change their way of thinking and they change their behavior, even as it deals with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
They start showing their parents more respect, and they start taking on the responsibilities of the household like they're supposed to do as a growing kid in a household.
Okay. In closing, so you've been doing this for a while. Do you have any of your students that you mentor come back to the program and speak as well?
We have not, but we're working on that piece. Now, I can say this because we've been in operation now since 2014. But we now have kids that have graduated, gone to Norfolk State, Morehouse, Radford, the U.S. military, and nobody's been locked up. Nobody has passed away that has gone through our program.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. Leslie, seems like you have a very exciting program, mentoring kids, and these are some of the things that Unity Podcasts are trying to highlight. People in the community like yourself that's doing wonderful things that we don't hear about all the time. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. But do you want to give a shout out to your website one more time?
Yes, our website is groundzerodevelopment.info, groundzerodevelopment.info, and also we can be contacted by telephone at 757-606-2280.
Okay, so I want to thank all of you for hanging in with the Ernest Lowery podcast Unity. Thank you very much, and thanks again to my good friend Leslie Smith. Hope to see you again soon.
Welcome to Comedic Services, LLC. We provide supportive in-home and residential group home services in the Hampton Roads area, including Williamsburg, Franklin, Zuni, Joanno, and Southampton County. Our offices are located at 2428 Almeida Avenue, Suite 170 in Norfolk, Virginia, and at 601 North Mechanic Street in Franklin, Virginia. Comedic Services, LLC is a Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities, CARF, accredited service. Our motto is fostering a culture of service and advocacy for humanity.
Two words: journal and guide.
Good evening. Welcome to Podcast Unity. I'm your host tonight, Ernest Lowery, and I want to thank you for tuning in with us today. And we have another exciting guest. Today, I'm honored to have as a guest Ms. Lynette Wright of the Chesapeake Democratic Women. So how are you, Miss Lynette?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me here tonight.
It's so good to see you.
You too.
So tell me what's been going on with the CDC, Chesapeake Democratic Women.
Well, the Chesapeake Democratic Women is a great opportunity for you to network, to come out and meet with our members. We have different committees. One of our committees is the Young Adult Committee. We also have a Scholarship Committee, and our principles are based on the democratic principles. We do activism, we do civic duties. So we are the organization to call if you need support with the voting initiatives. We are here for you.
Okay, so how many people do you have in this esteemed program?
At this time, we have 45 members, and it is growing. Each time we have an event, we have new members that would like to join. We do a crab fest every year. We have different galas, Christmas parties, fundraisers. So every time we have an event, we normally have at least 3 to 5 people that will join per event. And it's just a great way to get the news out about who we are and what we do.
Okay, so it's interesting you say Crab Fest. Now, of course, we're talking about this stuff here now is February. So is that like one of your signature events, the Crab Fest?
Yes, it is. Every August, we have the Crab Fest, and we invite the city officials to come out. We usually have a DJ, and we have entertainment, we have games. So we make it a really big event every year, and each year we like to make it larger. Last year we had it at the Chesapeake City Park.
So this is one of your major events. I mean, I kind of said that, but what I meant about major is so these are fundraising opportunities to grow membership and grow finances for the scholarships. Is that correct?
Exactly. And the scholarships are awarded to high school seniors, women, young ladies. And we would try to get out at least 3 or 4 scholarship awards each year, but it really depends on the funds that are available. So that's why we have the different events each year to raise funds for the scholarship initiative.
Okay, great. So what are some of the criteria for the scholarship?
You would need to be a high school young lady, and we look at your report card, your academics, if you're a well-rounded person in school and out of school, different activities that you participate in, and we have a scholarship committee that would meet, and they would review the application. And how you get an application is you go to your counselor at the high school. We send out the applications to all the Chesapeake high schools. So pick up an application and submit it to us. Our address, all our information, contact information is in there. Once we receive the applications, we'll set a date to meet, and a committee will decide on which student will receive the actual award, and it's called the Nora Davenport Scholarship.
Okay, so there are, 7 high schools in Chesapeake. So you have, how many, the guidance counselors get the information, how many students are allowed to apply, and how do you narrow that down for the scholarships?
As many as they want. As long as they are a high school graduating senior, they can send in the application. We don't have a limit on how many applications we can actually receive. The more, the merrier. We would like to help as many students as possible, and that's the reason why we're doing the fundraiser, so we can help more students each year.
So Nora Davenport, how do they fit into what you're doing? Is that an extended arm of you guys, or y'all in partnership, or?
Nora Davenport was actually a member before the Chesapeake Democratic Women, and that's how they started the scholarship program.
Okay, so is this also political to some degree?
Yes, there's also democratic policies and procedures for the Democratic Party. Yes, that's what we're looking for. If they are attending or volunteering in any type of way, of course, we would take that into consideration. Any type of democratic principles and policies, if that's on their application, of course, we would definitely take that into consideration.
Okay, so do you have a website for the Democratic Women?
Not at this time. We are working on getting a website. I have a member that's working on that now in our publicity committee that we just recently started. We're going improving on our Facebook page, and we're going to create a website so that you will be able to get more information about us.
Okay, so how often do you guys meet, and for how long?
At least once a month, we meet on the first Saturday of each month at 1:00.
Okay, so how long have you been involved with the Chesapeake Democratic Women?
For over 4 years.
4 years.
Yes, for over 4 years. I started out volunteering, and then they asked me if I would like to be the chair for the scholarship committee, and then I became vice president, and now I'm the president of the organization.
Ooh. Impressive. So you just came in and went straight to work, huh?
Yes, I started out volunteering. I felt like there was a need, and I would like to help as much as possible because we do help with the food bank and homeless shelters. We have different shelters. Speakers will come to us. Owners of different nonprofit organizations will come to us and let us know what the needs are. So we are here to try to meet the needs of the community, and that's really why I got involved initially, because I felt like I could give back. So I've really enjoyed that part of it, and I like to decorate. We were doing the different events, so I was doing a lot of the decorating. So starting out, I had no idea that one day I would become president of the organization. Right. My heart and my goal was just to initially help out and to give back.
Well, it seems like it's very time consuming with all the membership guys you have. I'm sure that you guys disseminate equally the duties of all the committees that you have.
Yes, definitely. We get together. What has really helped is breaking it down into smaller committees so that we can get more done. We can get more accomplished. With the different committees, we can accomplish more faster than just a core group or maybe 5 or 6 people trying to do it. We have over 40 members. We actually have 45. So breaking it down like that, we can attack it more and do more in a short amount of time.
Okay, so when the young ladies put in their application for a scholarship, what are some of the basic things that they talk about?
Well, what the students talk about, they talk about themselves and what they're doing in high school. They talk about their academics. They talk about what they want to do once they graduate. And some of them want to stay in politics, and it doesn't have to be just politics on their application, because we know that other kids are going into different fields, and we want to be supportive of that. Whatever it is that they want to do, we want to be supportive of that.
Okay, do you guys ever consider recruiting those people that you give monies to for their scholarship, or do they volunteer to say, well, I want to come back and do something with you guys at some point in time in their livelihood? Yes,
definitely. We reach out to the recipients of our Nora Davenport Scholarship. We just recently started the Young Adult Committee. So we will ask for some of those recipients to join the Young Adult Committee. And this committee is going to grow and have more youth programs available. That's our goal, to offer more programs to the youth through our Young Adult Committee.
Okay, so what is the deadline for the applicants to hand in their information, and when do they get the scholarship?
Well, we're looking at right now, April the 29th is the deadline that we set for the students to turn in their applications, and we normally do an award ceremony in June.
Okay. So what are some of the schools that these students are applying to? Or do y'all specifically say that you have to go to a certain school?
No, definitely. We don't try to dictate what schools they can go to. It's open. They can choose any school that they want to go to. We're looking for the democratic principles, number one, and we're looking for well-rounded students, and we're looking for a higher grade point average, of course, and we just try to support as many young ladies as possible to help them with their education.
Okay, do you guys also have a mentoring program with these students? And what is, I guess the end goal for the students?
We don't really have a mentoring program. That's something we could definitely add to our young adult committee, but we are looking for leadership and we would like to assist them with leadership. So that's something that our young adult committee can really focus on, and I think that would be a really great part to add to that mentoring. Mentorship. I think that would be great. We could add something like that.
Okay, so now that you are president, you have anything specifically that you want to do on top of the plethora of information that you guys have and put out for the communities, particularly for the women? Anything that you have that you want to do or
Yes,
implement?
definitely. I would definitely like to grow the membership, and I would like to reach out to more shelters and the food bank. We know there's a great need there, and when a woman leaves a certain situation, there are personal items that they need, and we really would like to fill that gap because there is a huge gap on what's needed at homeless shelters and at the food bank. So we would like to be here to fill that gap for them and also continue our democratic principles of helping out at the polls, in the voting initiative. So there's a lot for us to do. So if there's anyone who would like to join to get more information, feel free to give me a call or reach out to my email address, and we will get the information to you. But we have a great need in our community, and now is the time for us to fill that need.
Okay, since you mentioned your email, did you want to give out your personal email or your telephone number so they can reach you?
My number is 757-235-3854. That's Lynette Wright, 757-235-3854. And my email address is Lynette, LYNNETTE, CDC, that's the Chesapeake Democratic Women, CDC, @gmail.com.
Okay, so do you guys have the opportunity to visit some of these high schools and talk to the students at large or at any point in time, or is it something that you may want to do?
That is definitely something that we want to do, and in our last meeting, we talked about that. We would like to start some kind of forum or a program where kids can actually learn how to fill out the application. We're noticing that there is a need there. We have the application and we have a checklist, but some of the students aren't turning in all the information that is required. So it's going to be important for us to get to the students and find out why aren't we receiving everything that we need? Because I'm sure if it's not just us, it's probably other organizations too. You may have a great student there, but you may not have your transcript. Something may be missing, a reference letter, whatever it is, but it's very important if you're reading over the application to submit everything that is required or your application may be rejected. So that's something we want to address, talking to the counselors and also the students, that this is very important to submit everything because you could be qualified and you may miss something, not turn it in, and be rejected, and we don't want to see that happen. So whatever we can do to fill that gap, we definitely want to focus on that.
Okay, so as president of the CDC, I'm looking at you, and I think you're probably too young to be retired. so there's some things that you do outside of working with the CDC?
Yes, I'm a realtor with Victory Allegiance. I've been a realtor for over 9 years, and I enjoy working with the community. I enjoy helping families find their first home or their forever home, and it is a great way to network with the community and meet people and help people, and I'm so glad that I'm in this field. I really enjoy it.
Okay, so what do you go after when you're out and about doing your daily job or just going to the grocery store? I guess, who do you target first? Do you target an adult female, or do you see a young woman? And if you do you ever approach them about joining the organization?
I really haven't approached anyone about joining the organization. Sometimes you're just in the grocery store in a line and someone will start talking to you, and I'll tell them, what I do, or if I'm at an event and I'm networking, of course I have business cards with me or something like that. But I don't really go out to pursue anyone to join, but if we have different events, of course, we network at the events for membership. And we normally have a table set up with all the applications if a person wants to join, say at the Craft Fest or a fashion show or whatever event we have going on. Of course, they can come over and get the information.
Okay. Well, Ms. Lynette Wright, I really appreciate you coming out and fellowshipping with us. So stay in touch. But before we close, how about giving us that number so people can contact you if they have a daughter and want them to be part of CDC. And by the way, what we didn't ask is that how much are your dues?
The dues for the young adult is $10. I wrote that down for us. For the young adult, it's $10. We're looking for ages 18 to 25. 25 years and up is $25.
Okay. So thank you again. You want to give me that number one more time, please?
Yes, my number is 757-235-3854, and my email address is LynetteCDC@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure having you with us today. And again, we have another wrap with my special guest, Ms. Lynette Wright from the Chesapeake Democratic Women President, and she's looking for young ladies to come aboard and work with them to disseminate information throughout the city. And you're listening to podcasts, Ernest Lowery, Unity. Join us next time. Thank you.